Hello everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in today. This is episode 3 of my web series, and today we're going to be talking about classic TV moms. And I was good friends with probably the most famous classic TV mom ever, Florence Henderson. She was Carol Brady on The Brady Bunch. And later on, we're going to talk about Marion Ross from Happy Days. We're going to talk about Shirley Jones from the Partridge Family. We're going to talk about Vicki Lawrence from Mama's Family. But first, let's talk about Florence Henderson. I don't think she minded fans calling her Mrs. Brady. She embraced the role of America's mom. She once told me that she felt like the mother of pop culture. She's absolutely one of the dearest people I've ever met or known. To several generations, her TV character, Carol Brady, was really the mother that a lot of people growing up longed for. On the Brady Bunch, she was the lovely lady, wife to Mike Brady and mother to the whole gang. Florence told me that the show was so popular that it still airs in more than 100 countries, which is just amazing. But to me, Florence was more than Mrs. Brady. She was my friend, and I joined millions of admirers in mourning her death on Thanksgiving Day 2016. It was such a shock. I remember waking up and getting ready for work, and before I even got out of bed, I was looking through the headlines on my phone, and I saw that actress Florence Henderson had died suddenly, and my heart just sank because I emailed her all the time, and she was always so sweet and would always reply real quickly and with such a sweet sentiment. And you know, when you lose somebody you look up to, it's hard. I mean, you know, and I had a terrible day that day, and the day after I just couldn't make sense of it, and it just did not appear fair. You know, life's not fair sometimes, and she was, I think the thing that surprised me the most was Florence was so vital. She was so energetic, so physically fit. She was often pictured on TMZ videos running through an airport. She never needed a walker, a cane, nothing. She always would walk just by herself or with her and her assistant. She still traveled all the time. She worked all the time. She filmed new movies right until the end. Like 3 or 4 days before her death, she was in the audience for Dancing with the Stars. She was there to encourage Maureen McCormick, who was competing that night. Florence herself was on Dancing with the Stars at one time. She was one of the oldest contestants. And so I always thought Florence would be with us a lot longer. It was really such a surprise. She was 82 when she died suddenly of heart failure, and I was really surprised to hear the news. My friendship with Florence Henderson began with a letter, and it's just as simple as that. Isn't that sweet? I mean, I don't know how else it could have happened. I don't know why it happened, but I'm glad it did. And when I was a little kid coming along, I would write her and she'd send me autographed pictures. Really nice lady. And I'd written her through the years to get autographs, and she'd always respond and sent me headshots. One time she sent me a cast photo from the Brady Bunch, and she'd helped out with numerous fundraisers that I had done through the years, particularly with United Way. In my hometown, she had helped with the United Way fundraising auction one time. She made a donation to the silent auction. Then when I did the Purse Power fundraiser for United Way of Gaston County in North Carolina, she stepped up time and time again, several years in a row, just donating stuff. One year, she donated a handbag and necklace and earrings that had belonged to the Broadway great Mary Martin. Mary Martin was probably most famous for her role as Peter Pan. But Mary Martin had given that jewelry to Florence, and then Florence had donated it to the auction. And so We sold that. One time she gave us a handbag that she'd worn on the red carpet. Another time she donated a handbag that she'd worn to the Miss America pageant. It was just real. She was always just super generous. And anytime I needed Florence, she was just a letter away. And she always came through. She was one of those people that you just can depend on, you know? Sometimes you look around in your inner circle or your circle of friends, and those people that you can depend on are so few. And sometimes you're blessed with a lot of those people. And Florence was definitely one of those people. Her generosity was second to none. I'm telling you, she was literally one of the most philanthropic, kind-hearted people ever to walk this earth. Really just almost so pure and angelic. This lady had a heart of gold. She also had a wicked sense of humor. She was funny, and she loved to tell a good dirty joke just to see your reaction, because you know you don't picture Mrs. Brady cracking a little bit of a dirty joke, you know, but she could embarrass you a little. Oh, it was funny. In February 2014, I sent Florence a letter to her home in Marina Del Rey, California, and shared details about an upcoming trip to Los Angeles that I was doing. And to my delight, her assistant Angela Burton, responded to me and emailed me, and out of the blue offered to arrange lunch with me and Florence. I had never met Florence in person, just corresponded with her through the mail. And so I'm looking here at an email dated February 20th, 2014. And I was not going to California until June. So I was already planning my summer trip in February, which is just amazing. Angela wrote, "Dear Wade, you recently wrote a letter to Florence Henderson requesting a possible meeting for a few minutes while you're in Los Angeles. Florence will try to meet you for lunch if she's not out of town working. Can you please give me your number where we can reach you? Thanks so much, Angela, assistant to Mrs. Henderson." And so I was floored. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? So, of course, I quickly responded. It made my upcoming trip even more exciting, knowing that this could really happen. So when June rolled around, I couldn't wait to touch base with Angela. When my plane touched down at LAX, I sent Angela an email, and she quickly responded. And that was on June 25th, 2014. And she says, Angela told me, she said, "Hi, Wade. Florence just got back into town last night, and time is really tight for her. But where will you be over the next few days? She really is trying to make a space in her schedule to see you if she can." And so soon Angela and I were ironing out the details about the big moment. And I could not believe that this was happening. My friend Lauren Folk, who lived in Los Angeles at the time, was driving me around. And I remember Lauren was driving me past, we had been to see Ruta Lee, actress Ruta Lee, at her home that morning. Then we went to the Cheesecake Factory in Los Angeles at the Grove. And then we were driving back toward the valley. Lauren and I were driving past Hollywood High School when my cell phone rang. And it was Angela, Florence's assistant. And we talked for just a minute or two. And when I got back to Lauren's apartment, I checked my email and found an email from Angela. And it says, "Hi Wade, so nice to talk with you on the phone. Florence can meet you for coffee in the marina on Saturday if you'd like. There's a little coffee shop off Washington Boulevard called Joni's Coffee Roaster. She is a regular there. Would 1 or 1:30 work for you? Here's the link so you can see the menu. Hope we can make this happen. Talk to you soon, Angela." And so this really came together really cool. As it turned out, I confirmed that 1 o'clock would just be perfect, so I couldn't wait to go. I got up that morning and shaved my face in the shower, and wouldn't you know it, I cut my skin above my lip with the razor. And I couldn't believe it. I thought of all days for me to cut myself shaving. That just never happens. And there it was happening. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. But anyway, so I was patching that up. Wouldn't stop bleeding. Oh my gosh, it was just, and I was like, oh my gosh, of all days, I've got to get this thing clotted up so we can get on with our meal. I got to the coffee shop, and by then it had turned into just like what looked like a little sore, so I was going to have to be okay with it. But I got to the coffee shop over in Marina Del Rey just a minute before Florence, and when we walked in, Angela was there. And she introduced herself to me and showed me to a table that they had prepared. And Angela also worked at the coffee shop, which was really cool. She took care of us, actually. She waited on us. And Florence arrived. Her hair and makeup was just flawless, just perfect. She was wearing a white pantsuit with pretty silver earrings that were in the shapes of dragonflies. And she didn't look her age. She did not act her age. I complimented her sunglasses. I assumed they were Chanel from the way they looked, and she quickly told me that she just bought them at the airport gift shop, and she didn't pay full price. When we took our seats, Lauren was with me, and I sat in the booth right beside Florence, and I remember putting my arm around her, and we sat like that for an hour. We didn't just order coffee, we had lunch. I remember Florence had a salad. I got a hamburger. I was just so touched by her kindness, really, that I nearly cried at the lunch table. She was just so vibrant and fun. She seemed genuinely appreciative of a true fan, someone like me who admired her work and wanted to hear more about life. We posed for some pictures, and then she picked up the check. I remember her getting out. She got out her wallet, and I had all intentions of paying for it, the meal, and she would not have it. She was going to pay for mine, and she slid out an American Express card, and it said Florence Henderson on it in plastic, and I remember thinking, I wonder how many waitresses look at that and all of a sudden it like clicks who they're waiting on. So amazing. I can't remember everything we talked about because it's one of those moments where it's like euphoria, I was literally in heaven. We talked about the Brady Bunch, of course. Lauren had brought a vintage picture of her and Robert Reed for her to autograph, and I do remember we talked about her many appearances at the Indianapolis 500. She appeared there for many years and was known to sing before the big race, which is really cool. We talked about my life. Lauren told me later, I did not remember her asking me this, but Lauren said she remembered her asking me if I was independently wealthy. I don't know what gave her the idea that I didn't have to have a job. But anyway, that was kind of funny. I must have made a pretty good impression on her. She mentioned her grandchildren. She told me about her family. I remember saying, do they know how cool their grandma is? And she said, no, they called me Grandma Flo. I followed up with something about how if they didn't already know that they would soon discover how beloved she was around the world. And afterward, we said goodbye. Lauren posed for a picture with her in the parking lot. I went to hold my camera up to take it, and they were outside on the sidewalk. And Florence told me to hold my camera higher so that I could get a better angle. I remember that. Florence and I kept in touch with greeting cards, letters, emails. Angela and I also exchanged more emails. Here's one that I got from that following Christmas from Angela, her assistant. Dear Wade, this was on Christmas Day, 2014. Dear Wade, thank you so much for your lovely email and your Christmas cards. I was so happy to help you and Florence get together. It was a very wonderful moment. I am so happy to be a part of it. I hope 2015 is a wonderful year for you, and I hope we get a chance to meet you again in the future. So I left them with a smile. They loved me, and I loved them. And Florence was so sweet. I often emailed her and asked her what she was working on. She'd tell me what movie she was filming at the moment, and if she had any free time, we'd get together again. And it was always so much fun. It's hard to say goodbye to an American treasure like that, especially someone that I had such an amazing connection to. Florence brought us so much joy, and the gift of her talent keeps giving, through reruns and music recordings. She had a really good autobiography that she published a few years before she passed away. I think it's wonderful to hear people say they love the Brady Bunch. She loved it. I love it. I've met two other cast members, if you can believe it. I met Barry Williams and Maureen McCormick, which is really cool. They were very nice to me, and just really tremendously nice to me. Barry Williams signed some autographs for me one time at a hotel near the Los Angeles airport, and he was just such a nice man. And I ran into Maureen McCormick in 2018, September 2018, in Beverly Hills at a fundraising party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. So that was really cool to see her, and she was so sweet, and we took a selfie together, and I told her that I was a friend of Florence's and that we missed her so much. And I can imagine how much Barry Williams and Maureen McCormick miss her also. They were all very close. During a recent trip to Los Angeles, I was just out there in March. I stopped by the cemetery where Florence is buried, and there's dragonflies carved into her stone. Dragonflies are on one side, and there's a big heart shape on the other. And I couldn't help but cry because of the connection we had. And it seems so wrong not to see her in person out there, but to see her name etched in stone instead. It's just such a weird thing. She was always so sweet to me, like I said, and sometimes you just develop a connection with somebody, and in my case, she was just somebody famous who I grew up watching on TV. Through mutual respect, friendship is born, and I think we had a mutual respect. I can't go to Florence's final resting place without shedding some tears, just because I miss her that much. To me, it just tremendously affected me, and it still does. I can't think about her too much, or I start crying. And I'm doing a very good job of sharing our story right now because I've accepted it, and I've prepared to do this. But if I'm with a friend and I start talking about Flo and what she meant to me and what we did, I can't help it. I just wipe a tear away. It just doesn't seem real that she's gone. The day that she died, the world lost a lot of love and a sweet soul who really loved her fans. And I always remember Florence Henderson with a smile, and remember the sentiment that she often wrote when she's signing autographs. She would write, "Florence Henderson, God bless and love." And so God bless and love you, Florence Henderson, so much. And I hope that somewhere out there in the great beyond, she's watching down and smiling on us today, because she was a really very special lady. I wish everybody could have known her. I wish everybody could have met her, because she was somebody that not only renewed your faith in humanity, but just represented the very, very best of Hollywood. I mean, generosity, kindness, appreciation. She had no sense of entitlement. She was grateful. She shared things with fans. She always responded to fan mail. She didn't ever turn down an autograph request that I ever saw. She was always eager to sign photos for people and walk down memory lane with people. I remember talking to her one time, and we were talking about her flying to different speaking engagements and things across the country, and she always flew commercial. And she would tell me, she'd say, I think she told me this at lunch. She would say that she'd wait for the plane to completely board, and then she would get on, so that not everybody didn't walk by her, because she would have attracted so much attention. But I asked her, I said, do people ask you for pictures and all throughout the airport? And yeah, I know they do. And she said, everybody wants a hug. She said, I think I've given more hugs than anybody in the world. And She said sometimes people just come up and just wanted a hug. That's all they wanted. And so that's really special. That's she was, and God bless her for being the mother figure that so many people needed. I had a wonderful childhood, but there's a lot of people out there who didn't. And if she could be a mother figure for them, I just think that's the most beautiful thing. And what a wonderful person. Next, we'll talk about Marion Ross. She was Mrs. C on Happy Days. Remember Mrs. C? I had written Marion Ross 2 or 3 times through the years, and she'd always sent me autographed pictures in the mail. But let's see, I think it was 2 years ago. She had released her autobiography, and I was hoping that I'd get to go to a book signing somewhere. Well, it came and went, and she didn't come anywhere near North Carolina. So I was planning a trip to Los Angeles, and she had planned a book stop at the Santa Monica Public Library. So I called my friend Lauren and I said, hey, let's meet at the Santa Monica Library. Marion Ross is going to be up there signing books. So this is our chance to meet her. So we got there and it was such a treat. Lauren bought my book for me. And not only did we get to meet her, we got to talk to her, and she did a Q&A with the audience. It was in a little small auditorium there at the library, and Lauren and I had front row seats. And Marion Ross and her co-star from Happy Days, Don Most, played Ralph Mouth, if you remember. He came out and sat beside her to keep her company and to answer fan questions too. So it was literally like a stroll down memory lane. I mean, it was just amazing to hear the stories they had to tell about Henry Winkler, about Gary Marshall, who created the show, who I'd also met and had a connection to. I'd met Henry Winkler as well, so I was interested in that. They talked about Ron Howard. We talked a little bit about her book. I remember asking a couple of questions. I remember my question was not so much a question, just an observance. I told Marion Ross that I always loved when Mrs. C would tell off Mr. C. You know, he acted like he had the whole house in the palm of his hand. But if everybody really knew that Mrs. C ruled the roost, and she was not somebody you wanted to cross. I mean, you didn't, Mrs. C, you didn't want to make her mad, And occasionally Howard would push it and push it and push it. And I remember one time she looked over and she said, "Sit on it, Howard." And she put him in his place in about 2 seconds. That was the popular expression when they would tell somebody off, they'd say, "Sit on it," "Sit on it, Fonzie," or "Sit on it, Howard." And she let him know right quick that she was sick of whatever he was doing. And of course, Howard Cunningham was played by the tremendously talented Tom Bosley. And if you ever go out to Hollywood, ride over to the cemetery where he's buried in Hollywood Hills. It is so beautiful over there. I've actually seen his grave marker before, and I didn't get to meet him, but I wish I had. I bet he was so cool to talk to. But that's my Marion Ross story. She was so sweet. When I got back home from California, I actually wrote her a letter and sent her copies of our picture that we had taken together. And she autographed one and sent it back to me so that I could put it up on my wall here. And she sent me the nicest letter and told me she just appreciated me coming by so much that I had taken time out of my California vacation to come say hey to her. And I thought that was just so sweet, so appreciative of that. She was appreciative of my time. And you don't get much cooler than that. Do you remember Shirley Jones? Well, Shirley Jones had a long career, and it started in movies, and she did musicals, and she actually won an Oscar for a film called Elmer Gantry, and then she went on to have a recording career, and that was kind of in the middle of her motion picture career. She co-starred with Pat Boone in a huge movie called April Love, and of course, Shirley Jones had a lot of hit records, and she was a very popular recording artist. And then she became known as Shirley Partridge on the Partridge Family, the popular classic sitcom. And so it depends on how old you are, how you remember Shirley Jones. But I'm familiar with all of her work. And when I was in college, Shirley Jones came to a nearby university, and I rode down there and met her. She actually did a tribute to Hollywood show, and she came out and sang show tunes. She sang movie songs. She sang songs from the Partridge Family, and afterwards she met everybody in the lobby. She stayed until everybody had gotten autographs, which was just absolutely amazing. I had brought a lot of nice pictures for her to sign. One of her holding her Academy Award, which was really cool. I brought the album for April Love, and she signed both the LP itself and also the album cover that was already signed by Pat Boone when I met him, which was really cool. Mrs. Jones was so nice, and we took a picture together, and just have nothing but great memories of Shirley Jones. She was just a sweet lady. Again, you could just tell she loved her fans. You know, I think that's so special. There's something about that generation. They love their fans, especially TV stars. They feel so indebted to them. And how special is that? I mean, viewers and fans like myself get to reap that benefits of happiness because they're so sweet. And I just think that's amazing. The last classic TV mom we're going to talk about is Vicki Lawrence. And she was Thelma Harper on Mama's Family. And everybody remembers Mama's Family. It was a spinoff from the Carol Burnett show. And Vicki played Mama, of course. Carol Burnett played her daughter, Eunice, who was always a mess from top to bottom. Betty White played her other daughter, Ellen. And Ken Berry played her son, Vint Harper. And Vince's wife was Naomi, played by the amazing actress Dorothy Lyman, who had been a soap opera star before then. And newcomer Alan Kaiser played Mama's grandson, Bubba. And the next door neighbor, Iola Boylan, was played by the remarkable Beverly Archer, who was also a TV writer and had been in other shows as well. So, boy, what talent. What tremendous talent on that show. In the early episodes, Rue McClanahan played Aunt Fran. She played Mama's sister, Fran. Also in some of those early episodes, Harvey Korman played Eunice's husband, Ed Higgins, who ran a hardware store and was a few bricks short of a building up here. So it always gave him something to fight about, didn't it? I was just probably 14 years old when I met Vicki Lawrence. My mother took me to Bristol, Virginia to meet her and to see her one-woman show at the Paramount Theater there in Bristol. And we had a wonderful time. We got there early. I was trying to stake out where the stage door is because I had some cast photos from Mama's Family that I wanted her to sign. And me and my mom had lunch, and then we backed our van in near the stage door so that we could watch. Well, me and my mom both fell asleep because we'd been waiting like 4 hours, so we fell asleep. And I woke up and I looked back, and there was a long black limousine backing down toward the stage door. I got out, left the car running, didn't even tell my mom where I was going, took off across the parking lot, and I saw her red hair go right in the door. I went in right in the door right after her. What was I thinking? It's just amazing. And I said, "Oh, Ms. Lawrence, please, can you sign my pictures, please?" And we laid them down on the table there, and she started signing them. She said, "What's your name?" I said, "Wade, W-A-D-E." And she wrote my name on all the autographs. I think she signed 4 or 5 of them for me there. And, of course, that thrilled me to no end because I finally got her autograph, you know. I had been collecting like 2 years, and hers was one I really wanted. So the show was wonderful. It was great. She's hilarious. and it was heartwarming. She told a few good stories. She sang some songs. At the end, she even dressed up like Mama, like Thelma Harper, and came out and did her voice and talked a little bit. It was so funny. And through the years, I've met Vicki Lawrence 2 more times. One time I met her on the red carpet at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. We were honoring Carol Burnett there at the Kennedy Center, and Vicki Lawrence arrived with Tim Conway. And I got to meet both of them right there on the red carpet, and it was so special. And that was a good 10 years later or more than when I had met Vicki the first time. So I was about 24, 25 then, and she was just as sweet as always. And we took a picture together, and she signed my autograph book. And then just 2 years ago, out in Hollywood, I went to the Hollywood Collectors Show, which is an autograph show that attracts celebrities. And Vicki Lawrence was there, and I waited in line and got a selfie with her. It was really cool. She's always been kind to me, and all the actors from the Carol Burnett show have been kind to me, the ones that I have met and corresponded with. I met Carol one time, which was absolutely amazing. Like I said, I met Tim Conway that one time. I wrote to Lyle Wagoner 3 or 4 times through the years, and he was always nice through the mail. I even met Bob Mackey, the costume designer, one time. He was at the hotel I was staying at in Beverly Hills. I met him in the lobby, and he was so nice to me. It was really cool. He even made a little video clip with me for me to show my friends on Facebook, and maybe I'll dig that up and show you all that sometime. That was really cool. But anyway, it's been nice walking down memory lane with you today. Thank you so much for watching. I just want to say thank you to all these classic TV moms who made me feel special when I met them. There's nothing cooler than meeting somebody like that you're really a big fan of, that you've watched on TV a long time. I can't tell you what a thrill that is, really. And until you've done it, you really don't know how cool it is. But I hope some of you get that opportunity sometime to meet some people that you really look up to on TV or really admire. That's really cool. And I'd like to dedicate this episode in loving memory of Miss Florence Henderson. I love you so much, Florence, and I miss you so much. God bless and love. Good night.